Hi everybody, Elizabeth here with Country Peony and welcome to episode 14 of Coffee and Crafting. I am so happy to have you here. I cannot wait to craft with you today. Before we get started, I wanted to introduce myself. Again, my name's Elizabeth and I am with Country Peony, and Country Peony is a DIY and craft blog that focuses on simple, inexpensive crafts and whimsical spaces. And today we are going to be making the Peppermint Candy Christmas tree. This is a really fun one. This is one that was featured on my blog almost 5 years ago. I've linked it below if you want to check it out. Actually, it was 6 years ago, but I have it linked below if you want to check it out, as well as all the tools and supplies you will need for this craft. I see that y'all are hopping on. I would love to see where you're coming from. Just let me know. I'm over here in Texas. And the weather is really dreary today, but that's okay because we're going to cheer ourselves up with some Christmas crafting. I love this specific craft because honestly, it was inspired by a craft I used to do as a child with my mother. We used to make wreaths with candy. And so I thought it'd be really fun to take that technique and put it in a Christmas tree. And again, all the details are in the description below. All of the links to purchase your own items to make this, as well as the tutorials for the Peppermint Candy Christmas tree. Okay, so let's get started. All you're going to need for this particular craft is a styrofoam cone. This is a 9.5-inch one. I think that's a good size without overwhelming you, but I think it's really cool to get a bigger one and a smaller one. I love working in threes, and this is a really fun project to have on your tablescape for Christmas. And then you're going to need some Star Brights individually wrapped. So I've got the ones that are individually wrapped, and you'll see in a little bit how easy it is to apply these to your styrofoam cone. And then lastly, these are some greening pins. You can find these in the floral section of your craft store. I also bought mine on Amazon. They come in a pack of, I think I got like 1,000, so I can make a whole bunch of these. Each of these cones take anywhere from like 100 to 150 peppermints. So depending upon what size you use. So it's really up to you how much you need. But this is such a fun and simple one. You can even get your kids involved. I mentioned before that Christmas crafting is really where my crafting bug started as a child. And so I try to get my kids involved as much as possible. And so my daughter actually really likes making these. Okay, so are you ready to get started? So we're going to start at the base of the peppermint. I like to work from the ground up, because what you're going to do, as you can see here, is you're going to overlap the peppermint candies as you're working your way up. Okay, so we're going to start by just taking one and then one greening pin, and I like to lay it on its side so you can see, but we're just going to place the peppermint onto your styrofoam, and we're going to use the greening pin and just attach it directly into your styrofoam cone. So the way that these particular greening pins are, there's a little loop at the top, so I put that loop at the top part versus on top of the peppermint. And so when you're attaching this first layer, just make sure that the peppermint rests on the table, because if you put it any lower, it's going to get wobbly, and that's just not going to work. So here's your first one. And then we're just going to continue to attach the peppermints right next to each other. And you're going to go all the way around, and you're going to work your way up. Again, this is a really fun craft to do with your kids. It's very tedious, but it's very simple, and it's very, very fun. And you can even use different candies. If you're not a fan of peppermints, you could use those fun, hard Christmas candies. That could be really beautiful. So I'm just working my way around the base. And I would love to hear if y'all do any decorating for Christmas with candy. I think it's a fun and inexpensive way to decorate for Christmas. Now, granted, it doesn't last for more than 1 year, but part of it is the handmade process and the memories that you make in the process, which I am all for and I love. So all I'm doing is I'm taking the greening pins and I'm attaching the peppermints one at a time into the styrofoam, so that it creates this beautiful line, and you're just going to attach them one right next to the other. And I do want to show you, there are two sides to the peppermint candy. There's one side where the label is attached, or the packaging comes together, and then with a seam, and then the other side is blank. So I recommend using the blank side so you don't see that seam. But again, you're just making sure that when you attach the peppermints that they are just kind of kissing the table and you're not going too far down. So this has been a really fun project. It's actually one of my most popular posts on my blog because I think it's so simple and it's so fun. It was also picked up by Country Living on their online magazine. And so that was really cool to see. And so every year I get people coming to my website from over there. So that one's a little too high because I'm doing too much talking. You just want to make sure to try to keep it as even as possible as you go. So you can see you're starting to make your peppermint candy tree. And this is a beautiful one too, especially if you're having friends over, because honestly, you could make this as an appetizer or just a gift after dinner. You can just pull the peppermint off, and then that's really cool. Instead of putting it in a dish, this could be a fun way to display your peppermints. Or you can keep them up for decoration. It's really up to you. Okay, we're going to keep going around. I just want to show you how you start to stack it. I've also made wreaths out of candy. That's really fun. You could also string peppermints together to make a peppermint garland for your Christmas tree. The possibilities are truly endless. And on the one in the blog, the topper that I used, I actually melted some peppermint candies to give me a fun star shape. But for today, we're just going to use an ornament. But it's really up to you. You don't have to do anything. You can add a star topper like I did. Okay, that's perfect. I love it when the peppermint turns out perfectly. The spacing is perfect for that. Okay, so we have one layer of our peppermint on our Christmas tree styrofoam cone. And again, I've linked all the products below through Amazon if you want to purchase these and just make a whole bunch over your Thanksgiving break. It's up to you. But you're going to need a styrofoam, the peppermint candies, and then these greening pins, which really come in handy for a lot of crafting projects, especially if you have these styrofoam cones laying around. Okay, so we've got our first base, and now we're going to build on that. So we're going to take another peppermint candy, and I just like to overlap it just a little bit. It's really up to you and what you're after. But if you overlap it just a little bit, then you will make sure that you cover all of your holes. And then just making sure that you are even when you go around. So two things, that they kiss each other, the peppermints, and also that they're in the same line. Because it's really easy to start to really get higher. And then when you come all the way to this side, you're already up the next line. So just trying to use that as a guide to make sure that you're staying even with the peppermints. You have nice, beautiful, even layers. Okay, I'm going to keep showing you how I'm layering these because it's so fun. And like I mentioned, it's so therapeutic, this process. And okay, this is all I'm doing. This would be really pretty with those green and white ones, which I actually prefer. Some people don't. The red and white ones are really beautiful too, but the green and white would be really pretty, or you could kind of mix them. You can do one red, one green, one red, one green. The purple would be really pretty too. It's really up to you and what look you are after. I need to see if they have any pink ones. Pink ones would be so cool with my decor. Okay, so I'm just continuing to pierce these peppermints into this cone. I told you this was so simple. Like I said, this is something your kids can help you with or your grandkids. And I wanted to feature this one this week because I think this is a really fun craft to do over Thanksgiving break, and then you can enjoy it all season long. And okay, so I'm just making sure that, again, the peppermints are right next to each other and they are overlapping the bottom layer so that you don't have any holes or spaces on your candy tree. And again, I'd love to hear if y'all have any projects with candy that you like to do, if there's any special traditions that you do with candy this time of the year, because Christmas candy is so fun to decorate with. It's a really inexpensive way to decorate, and it adds a lot of fun whimsy and color to your space. And it's very accessible. So I live in the country, and so my nearest Michael's or Hobby Lobby or Joann is at least an hour away. And so I have to plan out my city trips, which is really fun too. But I can get all of these supplies at my local grocery store, which is wonderful. Okay, we're almost done. So here is a good example of when I'd mentioned you really like when the spacing comes in play. So I'm just going to do one more. It's not perfect. It's a little gappy on both sides, but I think it's going to work. Just like everything, have fun and don't overthink the steps or the process. Just enjoy it. Okay, so here we have 2 layers. You will continue to build up until you get something like this. And it's funny, it's amazing how heavy these peppermints get, the difference in between the 2 of them. But now we are going to, I will show you how to finish this tree. So again, we're going to overlap the peppermints, and I want to make sure that my spacing is right. So I think that's good because I'm going to put 2 more layers of the peppermints on here. And one trick when you are applying the greening pins at the top, so that they don't pierce through the side, because if you look here at the top, if you put the greening pin all the way across, it's going to poke through to the other side. So making sure when you push the greening pin in, you go down with it. Okay? So I'm going to take that greening pin and I'm going to go down with it so that it doesn't pierce through to the other side. And I'm just overlapping the next layer on top. And again, I'm making sure that those peppermints are right next to each other and that I'm kissing them with each other. So again, I'm going down with that greening pin so it doesn't go across. And I've got my microphone on today. I hope that these don't pick up too much of this crinkling sound. So I apologize. I hope you can hear me. Hi, Christy. It's so good to see you. Thank you. These are a really fun craft. Do you ever craft with candies? Especially this time of the year. I'd love to know. Okay. So I'm just piercing these and I'm going down with them. Thank you, Christy. Glad y'all can hear me. Okay. So I'm almost done with that layer. See, we've got a little gap here. Either you can take this one off and kind of push it together, or you can just let it be, and I'm just going to let it be. So then I'm just going to take this one and make sure that that's covered. And for this last layer, you're going to want to push the peppermint all the way to the top so that there's no plastic or you can't see those greening pins. Okay? So the greening pins, you're going to secure them at the top. And we're just going to continue to finish this peppermint candy tree, and I almost put the seam on the outside. You're going to want to bring that seam to the inside so it's nice and pretty. And for these, you're just making sure that your greening pins are piercing them to the top because you're not going to want to see them at the end. You want more of a finished product. And I'll show you after I finish this one. And I almost did it again. That seam was almost at the top again. Okay, so when I did the greening pins, I'm just putting them at the top this time versus on the side. And that'll give it a nice clean finish. And the beauty with these candy projects is you can enjoy your products while you're making them. So I was making this yesterday, this part with my daughter here in the studio, and she ate most of my product, which was really fun. Okay, and sometimes you might hit another greening pin, just work yourself out, and then you can put that pin back in. Okay, so we're almost done. Okay, so look at that. All the greening pins are at the top. So I'm not going to stop here just because you need a topper of some sort. So I mentioned on my blog post, I took some peppermint candies, I broke them up, and then I put them in a cookie cutter star shape, and then I put them in the oven, and it made this beautiful star peppermint candy. All the details are on the blog post if you want to check that out. But for today's purposes, I thought it'd be fun to use just a simple ornament ball. So this is not your average size. It's a little bit smaller because it's perfect for this size. But I thought that we could just insert it into here. So I'm just going to take this top part off. I probably should have done this before, but let's see if it'll work. This one is glued on. So anyway, if you want, you can take that topper off, and then you can just hot glue it into your styrofoam cone. Now I'm going to take my handy dandy hot glue gun that I love, this wireless one, and we're just going to attach the topper onto the top, and just going to let it sit there. If you want, you can remove this part where the topper attaches to it, and then that way it sits flat on top of sits flat on top, or you can do like I did and just place it on top. But look how cute that is. I think this would be the best centerpiece for your table. Again, your guests can literally, after dinner, they can just pull it off like that. And it just makes it really fun and simple, a really festive way to enjoy the holidays, a really sweet touch on the peppermint candies. And like I said, they're inexpensive, they're super accessible. You can find them at most grocery stores. And it's just a fun way to craft with them this season. So thank you so much. Ooh, a little ribbon would be perfect at the top. Really, whatever you want. So I would love for you to make these. Please send me pictures so I can see and I can get inspired for next year when I make them. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you feel inspired to start playing with candy this holiday season. It's an inexpensive and fun way to decorate for the holidays. And I hope you enjoy this tutorial. Again, all the details are on my blog in the description below. All of the tools that you can find are also there. But thank you so much for joining me. I cannot wait to craft with you next Monday at noon here on Facebook. Until next time, I hope you have a beautiful Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you soon, guys. Thank you.